Journalistic integrity is supposed to be the foundation of reporting. But in today's digital age, it feels like that foundation is crumbling. From blatant bias to misinformation, the gaming world isn't immune to the failures of modern media. And right now, we're seeing one of the worst examples in years, where a journalist's mistake led to a massive wave of hate against the biggest YouTuber in the world. This isn't just another case of clickbait or a minor misinterpretation. It's a clear example of how a careless mistake, whether intentional or not, can spiral out of control, causing real damage to someone's reputation. And it makes you wonder, if this can happen to MrBeast, a creator with millions of followers and a platform powerful enough to push back, what happens to smaller influencers when they face similar treatment? What about the countless people who get falsely accused, misrepresented, or misquoted, but don't have the reach or resources to fight back? Before we dive into the details, make sure to subscribe to What's Up Nerd Insider for all the latest updates on gaming, anime, movies, and everything nerd culture. Now, let's get into this disaster of a situation. Gaming journalism has been in a downward spiral for years, plagued by misinformation, clickbait, and a lack of professionalism. But what happens when that carelessness targets an individual? What happens when a media outlet spreads false information, sparking outrage over something that never even happened? That's exactly what we're dealing with today. One of the biggest YouTubers in the world, MrBeast, just became the target of fake news from none other than Kotaku, a gaming outlet that's been losing credibility for years. This wasn't just a simple mistake. It was a misquote so bad that it led to an unprecedented wave of hate. And the worst part? The so-called journalist behind it refused to take real responsibility. But this isn't the first time we've seen this happen. Time and time again, gaming media outlets have rushed to publish sensationalized headlines without verifying the facts. How many times have we seen articles spread outrage over a misinterpreted quote or a manufactured controversy? How often have we seen journalists double down on bad takes instead of admitting fault? Let's break it down. On February 20th, Kotaku published an article with the headline, "MrBeast says life is much easier when you're broke." Immediately, chaos erupted. After all, MrBeast is known for giving away life-changing amounts of money in his videos. So when people saw that headline, they were furious. A millionaire saying life is easier when you're broke? It sounded outrageous. But there was just one problem. He never actually said that. This all started with an interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast. MrBeast was talking about how exhausting his lifestyle has become with constant travel, saying, "It's really killing me, to be honest. It was so much easier when you're not constantly traveling. Life is so much easier when you can just wake up in your own bed, work for 15 hours in your office, and be done. Compared to all this chaos, where I don't know what time zone I'm in, where I don't know where I'll be in 2 days, it's just a mess." That's what he actually said. But the Kotaku journalist misheard a key part of the sentence. MrBeast said, "Life is so much easier when you're not traveling constantly." The word bro was misinterpreted as broke. So the journalist twisted it into a completely false statement. And here's the real problem. This wasn't just a simple mistake. This was something that any competent journalist should have caught. Before publishing something as controversial as this, you'd think they'd double-check the source, verify the context, and ensure accuracy. But no. Instead, they ran with it, likely knowing full well that an inflammatory headline like that would drive traffic, engagement, and controversy. MrBeast himself was stunned when he saw the headline spreading. He immediately responded, tweeting, "A news site lied and claimed I said life is easier when you're broke. Something I never said. Now I wake up to millions of people believing this lie and hating me. Being famous is so fun." The backlash against Kotaku was swift. Even Twitter added a community note to the article, calling it misleading. So how did Kotaku respond? Did they take responsibility? Did they issue a proper apology? Nope. They left the false article up for over a week. Millions of people saw it, believed it, and spread the outrage. When they finally did update it on March 1st, all they did was add this tiny correction at the bottom. Correction. A previous version of this article incorrectly quoted MrBeast as saying, "Life is easier when you're broke," while discussing the challenges of his lifestyle. The incorrect quote was based on a transcript provided by the podcast's PR department before the episode aired. MrBeast later clarified his statement in a tweet, and we have updated the article and its title accordingly. No apology. No real acknowledgement of the damage done. They didn't even delete the original tweet. They just quietly changed the article and moved on. And that's exactly why people are losing trust in traditional journalism. Mistakes happen, nobody's perfect. But when you refuse to take real responsibility for those mistakes, when you leave misinformation out there long enough to damage someone's reputation before quietly correcting it, that's not journalism. That's reckless. This incident with MrBeast is a stark reminder of just how fragile trust in journalism can be. The damage caused by careless reporting, especially when compounded by a lack of accountability, doesn't just affect the person in the spotlight. It undermines the credibility of the entire industry and creates a culture where misinformation can easily spread unchecked. In the digital age, once a narrative is set, it can be impossible to retract the damage it causes. This is why journalists and media outlets must take greater responsibility in ensuring the accuracy of their reporting, as their words shape public perceptions that can last far beyond the original headlines. The real victims here aren't just the individuals caught in these scandals. It's the audience who is left questioning what's true and what's not. When misleading stories spread, it leaves the public in a state of confusion, unsure of what they can trust. These inaccurate reports can have lasting consequences on public figures, influencing how they are perceived even if later reports set the record straight. With social media blurring the lines between fact and opinion, distinguishing between credible sources and those that capitalize on sensationalism is becoming more difficult. This erodes trust, leaving people wondering whether the next big story is also based on misinformation. Journalistic integrity should be more than a buzzword. It must be the foundation of how we share and consume information. With influencers like MrBeast gaining influence alongside traditional media outlets, they also bear the responsibility to ensure that the information they present is accurate. Unfortunately, the pressure for speed and clicks often results in stories being rushed to publication without proper fact-checking. This rush to be the first can have real-world consequences, including the spread of misinformation that affects not just the person being reported on, but their entire industry and audience. As consumers of media, we must become more discerning and support outlets and creators that prioritize integrity. It's up to us to demand better from the content we consume and to amplify voices that work to deliver the truth. In doing so, we can help foster a culture where accuracy and responsibility are the cornerstone of journalism, rather than sensationalism. When we support creators and journalists who uphold these values, we contribute to rebuilding trust in the industry as a whole. If you found this discussion on gaming journalism and MrBeast's situation eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe to What's Up Nerd Insider for more insights on gaming, anime, movies, and all things nerd culture. And before you go, make sure to check out the amazing deals at Green Man Gaming. Get 15% off new releases by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment. Join the conversation, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for more engaging content.